Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Systane Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Systane Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
Starting a business can be overwhelming. You're juggling multiple roles: designer, marketer, logistics manager, all while bringing your vision to life. But for millions of businesses, Shopify is the ultimate partner. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. From household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. Build a stunning online store with Shopify's ready-to-use templates. Boost content with AI-powered product descriptions, page headlines, and enhanced photography. Marketing is easy with built-in tools for email and social media campaigns. Plus, Shopify simplifies everything from inventory to shipping and returns. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try. Shopify.com/try.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss along with Pauly Howard. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino here on a busy Thursday. Fun program, informative program, opinionated program coming up over the next 3 hours. Like I said, Paul Charchian in 30 minutes, 2 full segments with him on fantasy for week 2 and player props that he likes tonight and this weekend. Drew Butler, former kicker at Georgia. Why has this number moved so much Tennessee's way? We'll ask him about that. Steve Wist, the meat man, best bets in soccer. John Keim tonight, who covers the Commanders, with a Thursday Night Football preview coming up a little bit later on, Pauly. And on the screen right now, I see that DraftKings is at 3.5 in the game tonight, minus 118 if you want to take it with the Commanders, minus 102 on the Packers. Pretty much every other spot has Green Bay minus 3 now in the game, with various juice on that as well. Did you know that Circa opened up 4.5 right away on Sunday night?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
VSiN's very own Dogger Pass man, Dave Tooley, grabbed the 4.5, and then he was on the network that night with Scott Seidenberg, and he said, I still absolutely would recommend plus the 4. So that's the direction in which this bad boy's been moving now. I agree with it. I grabbed 3.5 earlier today, minus 115 on the Commanders.
All right, good. I like the Packers. I know they're coming off a perfect game. Washington didn't play well, but I think Green Bay can move the ball on this Washington defense. It's a whole different ball game going against the Giants. And I want to see what Parsons can do as well, that he wasn't out there a lot, but had a big impact on the game when he was out there against Detroit. And we'll see what happens today with that defense. And carried away, all aboard on the Packer bandwagon from 23-1 to 8-1 to win it all, and the NFC odds as well. Crazy what's going on with the futures.
So we're on opposite sides of this one for tonight. I'll give you a rundown of some week 2 trends in recent years, if it means anything to you, coming up in a few minutes. But here's one reason why I like the Commanders, but we'll find out a little bit more probably 90 minutes or so before game time tonight, like who is actually going to be active and inactive. And I'll say this on the Packers side, Bo Melton, cornerback, he is out. Brenton Cox, D lineman, he is out. But my biggest question mark are the following 2 players for Green Bay. Guard Aaron Banks and then offensive lineman Zach Tom. They're both questionable. If they can't go in this game tonight, I'll give you an example here. Will Anderson for Houston in the offseason was asked about the most difficult offensive lineman that he's faced in his career so far. His answer, Zach Tom from Green Bay. So he's very good. And if they're without both guys, I think Love's going to feel a little bit of the pressure tonight by this front for the Commanders. And also, I was unaware of this because we have not been allowed to bet at DraftKings because they own the company for so long. So I never really looked at this until today. You can bet individual players. I knew that you could bet individual players to get a sack at some spots, but they offer over a quarter sack. So if a guy contributes to a sack and he gets a half a sack, that's going to be a winner. And like, for example, Payne tonight, Deron Payne, over a quarter sack, plus 302. Payne had 2 sacks last week. Armstrong is 2-1 over a quarter sack. He had 6 pressures on Russell Wilson, 1 sack and 5 hurries. And 2 other players I'll throw at you. Kinlaw had 3 pressures and 2 quarterback hits plus 1 hurry. Over a quarter sack tonight is plus 394. And then, does Von Miller play? We'll find out again a little bit later on. He's plus 196. And if it's going to be, we're talking no Zach Tom, no Aaron Banks, I would like to attack it by betting all those guys over a quarter sack tonight.
Well, they had time to game plan, though, all week, too, and LaFleur's an excellent coach.
That he is.
And see if they'll have something ready to get it out fast. I know they want to take shots down the field, but ground and pound, and a lot of Jacobs, too. So they have a lot of talented players and a lot of weapons. I'm high on this Golden kid, but also they were just didn't get to showcase all their stars last week because they were sitting on the big lead, and the defense was all over. Oh, DraftKings just went to 3-2 now. Man.
Did they move to 3?
It was just run the ball with Jacobs, and the defense was all over Goff and embarrassed Detroit. So I give them the edge because of the short turnaround and being at home and the fact that do with this what you want. LaFleur has been unbelievable. He's 12-0? ATS week 2 and week 3.
Yeah.
So that's also strong as well.
He's very good. Let me give you some other numbers here with recent trends. Steve Makinen, vsin.com, must read every single week. In the first half of the season, home teams are 25 and 22 straight up on Thursday Night Football, but only 15, 30, and 2 ATS, 33% in the last 47 games going back to 2018. And when you dig even deeper, since 2016, home teams in weeks 9 and later are 44 and 27 straight up, 42, 26, and 3 ATS, 62%. And Steve provides his analysis on that as well. And it makes a lot of sense. Right away, there's no real travel spot. I know it's a Thursday night here, week 2 for Washington, but later on in the year, it really catches up with the road teams. Early on in the season has not been a big deal. Teams playing a second straight home game in week 2 and are favored are 14 and 10 straight up, but 5 and 19 ATS over the last 3 years. That would be Green Bay tonight. You're down 16 units with that. And I'll give you some other numbers from VSiN host Steve Makinen. You can follow, or check that Scott Seidenberg. You can follow him on X at Scott's On Air. Since the start of the 2021 season, that's when we expanded to 17 games, and the preseason went down to 3 weeks. Dogs in week 2 are 37, 21, and 4 against the spread, covering on average by 1.7 points per game. And teams that won in week 1 and then are favored in week 2 are 11 and 21 with 3 pushes ATS since then. That would be Green Bay. And when those 1-0 favorites are home in week 2, only 5, 15, and 1 ATS. So if you buy into the week 1, week 2 trend stuff, it's all anti-Green Bay here in this spot. Another one, if a team won their week 1 game by 10 plus points, in week 2, they're 13 and 14 ATS, and only 5 and 11 ATS, failing to cover by 1.9 points per game when listed as a favorite in week 2. So strong stuff there on Washington's side in this game tonight.
Packers are the better team. I'm confident in them tonight. How about how the total's too high? Why is this 49? Well, why is that total so high? And Washington's improved defense in what we saw last week. So I expect both teams to run the ball. And Green Bay was so dominant last week defensively, I'm shocked at this total. And then it went up.
Keeps going up, yeah.
Yeah, I went under 48, and now we're up to 49 in some spots, and 48.5.
Is that because the Washington offense is so highly thought of, and so it's power rated to the moon?
Well, I know, but that was last year. They didn't play well.
Well, they had 400 yards.
Last week, well, you had to hang on to beat the Giants. If the Giants could cash in at the goal line and not throw the ball, I think that's one thing. And the good Giants defense, though, too. But to me, it's all about Parsons and the impact he can have on this game. And it was a good article about this is the great marriage, which is already a good defense. And now with Howley, how dangerous this could be. And could it be the best defense in the league? On the field against Detroit, the Packers conceded -2 rushing yards in 7 plays, 48 yards on 15 plays without Parsons. Everywhere he went, the Lions made sure they had 2 or 3 hats on him. Dominant on his own, created easier matchups for everyone around him. He had his first sack. Goff got rid of the ball more than half a second quicker when Parsons was on the field, 2.8 seconds compared to when he was off, 3.36, despite Parsons being confined largely to third downs. On the snap, the Packers sacked Goff 3 times and coughed it up 2.4 yards a play, the longest gain going for 16 yards. Betting on Parsons to transform Hafley's defense It's like getting in on water before the first day, the guy writes in this article.
Yeah.
Incredible job. And that's, it's been nothing but hype for the last 7 days, well, probably longer than that once they acquired him. But I think they're rightfully the favorite to win the division, and they just destroyed Detroit. The one thing Detroit did do was they hit Laporta. So the Guru making the case for Ertz over.
Sure.
Catches and receptions.
And he scored a touchdown last week. So there's also a couple of props here with Jaden Daniels. His rushing prop earlier today was as low as 43.5. I think it's going up at some books. Surprise, surprise. People betting him to go over. But his longest rush is also listed at 15.5 yards. He went over that number 10 times last year, and he had 68 yards last week. He cleared 43.5 rushing yards 12 times last year, including the playoffs. I think there's an angle here where the Packers try to bring a lot of pressure on him, like Parsons around the edge. That's what he thrives at. And if this guy is going to be as elusive as, he was in year one, and I think that's going to continue because he's so talented, I think that's going to create some open running lanes here for him tonight. And I think like over 15.5 with the longest rush could be there.
That long?
Right, because it's going to...
That's a big number.
If they come around like that, and that's going to create some running lanes for him, and he'll take off. And if they don't have a spy on him at that point, I think he might be able to clear that. But also, I think that overall is going to keep Washington moving the sticks for a lot of this game.
That's why I'm on Love over, because Washington's going to play man and just take off and run. I can't believe his number's that low.
I bet it came down. I bet it over this morning.
You can go over rushing yards and over longest rush, and the Guru's on that as well. You can ladder him too. I think Love will take. He took off 3 times against Detroit, but I think there'll be plenty of opportunities for Love to take off and go and leave. He'll get 4.5 yards on the longest rush.
Yeah, I played over 4.5. I think Circa was at 4.5 minus 120 today for overall rushing yards by Jordan Love.
Did you find Debo to have a rush? That was
I did. Over a half a rush was minus 240, and I think they moved it to over 1.5 plus 180 at bet 365. But his yards came back down, by the way. So it got as high as 7.5 yesterday. Debo's now back down to 4.5 now. But his prop's been moving back and forth like a ping pong match the last 12 hours.
VSiN Pro delivers real-time DraftKings and Circa betting splits. See where the public and sharps are putting their money. The morning email from Bill 80, recapping all the best bets from every host, every guest. 24/7 video, the pro tools, the prop analyzer, the Mackin and trends, everything you need to stay ahead of the season. Burke on college, $9.99. Save 50% with an annual subscription. VSiN.com/subscribe today. Sign up now, $9.99. VSiN.com/subscribe.
Matt LaFleur also 23-9 ATS in prime time. Win some, lose some. Coming up next, and we'll update the live Major League Baseball betting board here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Big one cash, most runs. Available every night. Caesars and Will Hill and DraftKings. Tigers 40-1. Phillies 20-1. Dead heat. Highest scoring game. Phillies Mets 12-1. The home team is 11-1 this year, head-to-head in that Phillies matchup. Cubs plus 145. Reds plus 130. Padres blow it again. What a disappointing organization.
They might miss the playoffs, honestly.
Well, see if they sweep the Rockies. I'm not holding my breath on that one. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. At Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in. We'll put you on. Thanks to everyone who keeps sending them in on a regular basis. Look at this guy coming down on the hill going on the snow. He's going to beat him. He's on the raft on the little ride, and the dog's going to beat him all the way down the hill in the snow, trying to catch him as he pulls him down, and he stayed ahead of him the whole way. God, that guy can scoot. He stays ahead of the human the whole time. Wow. As he's on the tube coming down on the hill on the snow. That's incredible. What kind of dog is that? Looks like Diggs, Ozzy's dog.
It's almost like a Jack Russell, but I know it's not. But
look at that. Begging him to chase him and play catch, if you will, and I'll come down the hill and I'll beat you.
This dog could win like contest with the 100-meter dash.
Yes.
I mean,
yes. You ever watch it on ESPN where they dive in the water? to get the toy?
How far they can get in the air?
Yeah, that's right. That's great. Excellent. How about the little hole in the gate here? They're coming in. 19? 19?
No, this is that.
What is this? Oh, okay.
They made like a 50-foot hot dog, I believe.
Was that Fenway?
It might be longer than that, actually.
Who did this? Oh, my God.
Well, my guess is this is AAA.
Oh, okay.
As like a promotion, but it also looks like a really nice stadium, so I can't remember. I saw this online. I can't remember exactly where. No, that's bigger than AAA for sure.
Was that Chestnut involved? He was just doing some other event where he ate 15 pounds of something.
Oh, he could probably eat like a 50-foot hot dog in
down. The longest,
28 seconds.
Okay, the longest hot dog ever. Okay, now 19. Look at, peekaboo coming in, little hole in the gate, dogs peeking their head out. What's going on? What are you up to? Taking the back. It's so good. It's like when the person's got the condo, but it's way up, and then she cut a hole in so the dog could see what's going on downstairs. Or if you're lower, they could play fetch with the dog. Yeah. And you can throw the tennis ball up there, and he'll put it through the hole as well. That's great. As always, bad beats whiskey and a revolver. Under 8.5 in the Dodger game. 4-0 bottom of the 8th. Mookie hits a grand slam, and then Hernandez goes deep. 9-0. Cardinals plus a run and a half. Oh! 2-2 in the 13th. Guy comes in for the Mariners, I think it's a pinch runner. Then he hit a 2-run walk-off bomb to cover the run line. And they sweep St. Louis in a game they had to have.
I saw the highlight after the game was over with late last night. And I'm like, there are some people who are going to wake up tomorrow morning who thought that bet was dead if they had the Mariners on the run line. And
then in the and then the inning before, Seattle had the bases loaded with nobody out and didn't score.
Like, what's the probability of that happening?
I was watching in play. What do you think it was?
For them to score a run or to win the game?
Well, right, because it's the bottom of the 12.
They were minus 2,000?
Yeah, in that range, right. You could get 12 to 1 take back.
Yeah, so it's like...
They got out of it. There was a strikeout, I think, and then a double play.
Come on, and that's like less than 5%.
Yeah. And the Padres, 1-0 in the 8th. They blow it.
With that great bullpen, all you got to do is get a lead like in the 6th. You're going to be good to go.
Why did he make a pitching change? He already had a lefty in the game.
Yeah.
He went lefty-lefty.
And they couldn't get Pivetta any help last night.
No.
I know Abbott's good.
Yeah. For the line moves, sharp plays already there. Jeff and the crew do a great job. You're not going to outsmart or outmuscle billion-dollar books, so full-time sharps on your own with the sharp plays you don't have to. Powered by advanced AI and plugged and trusted insider sources. They deliver the edge serious bettors use every day. Free reports, alerts, market-moving insights sent straight to your inbox or X feed. At it since 2011. Documented results, public logs, transparent receipts. SharpPlays.com, trusted by pros, watched by the books. Visit SharpPlays.com. Stay out of the line. Incredible information. He's always on it. SharpPlays.com.
I'll update a couple of games going on as we speak. They're both shutouts right now. By the way, shutouts keep coming in every single day.
Every night.
But the White Sox are doing it again. And they open up as dogs today, again, against Tampa Bay. And they're up 5-0 right now in the 7th. This team, are they going to run away and hide with most wins in September?
No.
This is crazy talk.
Run away and hide. Yeah, it's a great sweat, though. I would say run away and hide.
Another one is Toronto right now with a 4-0 lead over Houston, top of the 5th. That's Gossman going today.
Ooh, Seattle could be tied for first place.
Juicy.
And Baltimore swept Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh now 22-50 on the road. Every loss is by a run.
Right. And I saw that Mariners game, though, tonight. That's going to be Miller going against Soriano. Soriano was on the schedule for yesterday, but pushed back to today. The market is on Seattle in this game. Opened up about $1.45. It's up like 10 cents from that right now. I do not trust Miller enough to back him. And Soriano's the guy we talked about yesterday. It's like every other start with very difficult guy to figure out. But he was awful in his last start.
I'm on the Phillies again. Again, the home team's 11-1 between the Mets and Phillies. They've had no problems in the first 3 games of this 4-game set.
Hey, Pauly, good read by you on this series.
Yeah, every day.
You've been all over it both days.
Magic number down to 7. Castellanos hitting 400 against Peterson career. And they can blow him out again. And I don't trust Peterson, and the Mets aren't hitting other than Soto. Alonso has bad numbers against Luzardo. So I think the Phillies get him again.
How about a 20-cent move here on the game the other way? They open up $1.44. Is this accurate right now? Circa's at $1.22. That's what they are on the screen.
There was some movement in some of the other games as well. The Detroit trying to sweep the Yankees.
Oh, boy, this has been a bloodbath of a series.
It'd be the third time they've ever done it in a modern era to sweep the Yankees.
Well, in New York?
Yes,
okay.
yes. It'd be the second time in the modern era if they win by double digits again. Can they win every game by 10-plus runs? They've outscored them 23-3 in the first two games.
No, the Yankees, again tonight, laying $1.60 in that range, maybe even a little bit higher.
The Washington Senators in 1951 and the Red Sox in 2021 were able to do it.
I would not be laying this big of a number with the Yankees at all.
Yeah, can't do it. I do like Cleveland, too. I think Williams, who's been strong, 5-1 with a 1.74 since the break, fourth best ERA since the break, to take out the Royals tonight. And other than that, it's a small card. I do find that, like Mike Palm, the maestro, brought up that WNBA game interesting with the Lynx and the Golden State. If Golden State wins, they're the 6. If they lose, they're the 8, and they face the Lynx. The Lynx are laying 7. Why would you play Collier? Why would you play anybody? The playoffs start Sunday. Golden State money line is plus 250 in some spots.
Right.
I think they're going to go out and try to win this game. I don't want to play the Lynx.
Well, and why would the Lynx want to play them?
That too. They can pick their opponent, like Mike Palm said.
Sure.
They play Seattle if they lose to Golden State.
That's like the most logical approach here by the team. But then you got to figure like our WNBA teams to the point of where they actually buy into this kind of stuff. Like where NBA teams might do this and NFL teams might kind of like, hey, we're not going to send our best guys out there. All of a sudden, 4 more guys are on the IR this game.
Well, you're playing. That's a management decision, too.
It is,
yeah.
right. And that's what I'm saying. Like in the front office, do they actually have that in them mentally to do it?
Yeah.
Let me give you some news on this Packers game. We talked about this in the first segment. More on it coming up with Paul Charchian in about 5 minutes. Tweet here from @PackersNotes. The Packers placed defensive end Brenton Cox on IR, elevated cornerback Micah Robinson, and offensive lineman Brent Banks from the practice squad. The elevations would suggest that Nate Hobbs and Aaron Banks on the offensive line, along with Zach Tom, probably won't be playing tonight. I think that's the takeaway from that as well. Maybe one of the offensive linemen yet, because they only elevated one guy, Brent Banks from the practice squad. But it's not looking good for those 2 guys on the team. And it looks like there's still 3.5 out there, nationally speaking. But there's severe juice on it, and every other book basically is now 3 on the game.
All right, well, they got to prove it to me. A lot of talk about how they've addressed and fixed the defense and want to do a better job. Giants don't count. So we're going against the big boys tonight. Let's see how that defense looks and if the Packers and Love can exploit it and have some success and slow down Daniels. I like your guy Bill, though, too. His rushing yards are too low.
What was the last number that you saw? Because I think that's been on the uptick as well. I think I saw as low as 37.5, but in the low 40s as well. As always, shop around. Make sure you have several different outs here when you want to bet this stuff.
He's plus money to get 40 at DraftKings.
Okay, interesting. All right. Well, we have a Washington Commanders guest on coming up in about 90 minutes. Specifically going to ask him if Deebo Samuel is going to get a carry in this game tonight.
Yeah. I think they try to take away Jacobs and slow him down, and that can open it up for a passing attack for Love.
Okay, very good. Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian joins the program coming up next. A lot to get into over the next 2 segments. What's the appropriate approach with the 49ers as Brock Purdy is out against the Saints? We'll ask him that coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome in. Thanks for watching today on YouTube TV, listening on Sirius XM channel 158. iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of the great affiliates that we have across the country. We are trying to connect right now with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian. Hopefully that happens here pretty soon. And tell them, Pauly, of course it is. Can you believe this? The 24th anniversary. 9/11.
No, I can't.
Next year will be a quarter century.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what to say because it's super emotional today. I follow the TSA Instagram account. It's actually quite funny with some of the stuff that people try to get by with.
Yeah.
The TSA Instagram account put a video up today. Never forget. It's the first time I ever saw some of those videos and heard some of the audio. And I was just broken today when I watched it. I tried sharing some of it on my Instagram account, Mitch Moss. But if you don't follow TSA, I'm telling you, if you're going to watch like one video today about 9/11, you have to look at this thing, man. It just crippled me earlier.
We got to know Jim Fossil.
Yeah.
The Giants head coach. And when the Giants went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Ravens.
Great dude.
The following year, they opened up on the road against Denver. And then they lost, and then they were coming back, and they got in. I think it was, and they were next to Flight 93, if memory serves, or when they got in. And then hours later, what happened? But you had the Jim Fossil Foundation, and he was a great guy. And he said, I told our players, after 9/11, then you took the week off. They were playing the Chiefs. And he said, you wear that NYPD or fire department baseball cap, and I'm telling you, we're honoring these people. I don't want to see it flipped around. I don't want to see the bill up or sideways or something else. I want it front and center with that hat, or don't put it on. We won the game, went in the locker room, was like old times. Put our arms together, got on our knees. Everyone got in the picture. Cap was straight forward, and we honored them. He told the story of Giuliani reaching out saying, hey, can you come down to ground zero? He goes, I'm just a football coach. He goes, it would mean a lot. He said, everything in my mind is so visible of what happened. I can replay it over and over and over again. And the whole season after that happened was something where we had to refocus ourselves. And I told the players, you park your car, you get on the bus, you go to New York, Manhattan, and you always see some cars there. And when I left at night, they were mostly all gone. For about 10 days, there were a whole bunch of cars left there. And I can only picture the fact that those people parked their cars, got on the bus, and went over there, and they perished. Tough on your stomach every morning when you went to work every day and saw all those cars sitting there.
Ugh.
And it was hard to get through an interview every time he would tell that story. And you got to know him.
I traveled with him quite a bit because I called the UFL games out here for the Las Vegas Locos.
Yeah, and I did the coaches show. And this guy was so smart, great sense of humor. My favorite Fossil, other than the guarantee, which was good. I'm putting all my chips in the middle where we are making the playoffs. And they got hot, and they did. But the other one was when he told the story. His phone's ringing. So, because why are so many people calling me? What's going on? So Jeremy Shockey's on the Howard Stern show. What's going on? And Shockey says, my goal in life is to have a threesome with a mom and two daughters. And he goes, you idiot, that's a foursome. And then he goes, from now on, you have to clear through your agent every interview you ever do, and don't ever go on there again. And he's screaming at Shockey and some of the stories that he had.
How about his first reaction? You idiot, that's not 3, that's 4.
What a great story. Here's Fossil, though, on the story of 9/11 and sharing some of his thoughts.
Paul Tagliabue made the right decision. He made the right decision. I mean, we were not ready. I mean, there was all kinds of things that were so memorable to us. It's like Giants Stadium was a ground where people would drive their car into Giants Stadium, park it in the morning, and get on a bus into New York City. Okay? There might be 200 cars parked there. All right? And I remember seeing it. And that night when I left, that parking lot was full. And it's never that way. And I went, oh, my God. I mean, how many people perished that parked their car here? When I drove back in the next morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning, I'd say there was 150 cars still there. And I thought, it made me sick to think those people parked their cars and went into work in the city, and they probably perished. And, Rich, I got so many letters from people that said, thanks for going to the Super Bowl because now you're on Monday Night Football, and the game was so late, it finished after midnight, that I decided to go in late. I wasn't going to get there early. I was going to take a half a day. And if you guys weren't on Monday Night Football, I'd have probably been in one of those towers. And, people saying thanks for that. I go, gee, really?
It's incredible.
That just hits you in the stomach every time you hear it.
Oh, man.
And that was several years ago on the Rich Eisen show.
Because the game went so late, I took a half day.
Oh,
if they don't go to the Super Bowl. Mercy.
Yeah. So I will tell you this, too. Not only was that guy like a great soundbite, that 9/11 story aside, But like traveling with him too, when I called those games, and he would like, sit next to us on the flight, and then he would tell like the broadcasting crew to meet with him the day before the game or the morning of the game. And that's whenever you hear about like broadcasters telling you like, hey, this is what I got, like they're going to get some pretty good insight on the game. And if they're going to share it, that could be actually some pretty good information to follow along with like throughout the contest. I noticed right away the first time that ever happened, the game unfolded to a T how he told my broadcast partner and me what they were going to do. And it was just like, it was like a painting watching it out there on the football field. That's how good of a coach the guy was. And even at that level, that was called the United Football League. Eventually players from that league went on to have like big impacts in the NFL. You could watch like how effective the offense was, like from the booth, just to see, like he gets it. Like it doesn't matter where that guy was going to coach. He was going to be a good offensive coach. So anyway, that was Jim Fossil, and yeah, that's a little rough.
We lost him in 2021.
Has it been that long now?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's tough. Great guy.
Yeah. So, the other, as we move along here on a sports betting network, the other New York team this week is taking money as the Jets are taking on the Bills. That game's down to 5.5 here at Circa. And Ed Oliver was an absolute menace on the defensive line for Buffalo against Baltimore on Sunday night. He was spotted with a walking boot earlier today. So imagine, go back to week 1, what the Bills defense looked like. I know it's the Ravens offense, but then how good, again, what if the Steelers defense is good?
Well, yeah, because it was also they gashed him on the ground, though.
Sure.
You know what the Jets are going to do? Run the ball on them.
And how good they looked against the Steelers?
Yeah, the Steelers couldn't stop their ground attack.
Yeah, so I took, I think this number is going to keep coming down. I took 6.5 with the Jets earlier today. And I know that the game opened up on 7, but that didn't last very long at all. And I don't want to overreact here to what we saw in week 1, but, the Lions offensive coaching staff with their new OC, they have their fingerprints now on this Jets team as they came over with Aaron Glenn, the new head coach here for the Jets. And you got to like what Justin Fields looked like in that first game. And picturing him against this Bills defense that got absolutely gashed by Baltimore for, 42 minutes on Sunday night before the Ravens went into prevent mode on offense or try not to lose the game mode. And if they're not going to have Ed Oliver, man, that's a big loss potentially for him. And so the total, by the way, keeps going up as well. Remember, Paul Bovey was on the show on Monday, professional sports bettor, who bet over 44.5 and over 45. That's up to 46.5 and trending towards 47.
What would you do if you're running the 49ers now? Now Purdy could be out 2-5.
Right.
Mac Jones and Mike White? Oh, boy. This escalated quickly. Kittle out, Purdy out. They can't win. You got to call somebody. Because now it's serious.
What if Kyle Shanahan gets it to work with Mac Jones? Because remember, Michael Lombardi was saying that entire draft that's who they traded up for was Mac Jones.
Yeah, Shanahan wanted him. Got talked out of it. That's the guy he wanted. But my comeback would be, okay, congratulations, you beat the Saints. Probably the worst team in the league. Then you have Arizona up next.
Let me give you this.
I gotta call somebody. The guy could miss 5 weeks now.
Thanks to our buddy Weston here on the program, Guy in the Cornfields. He sent me this earlier today. This was Brian Thomas Jr. in Jacksonville with Mac Jones as a quarterback last year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
7 for 103, 7 for 91 and a touchdown, 9 for 132 and a touchdown, 10 for 105 and 2 touchdowns, 8 for 86, and he had double-digit targets in all those games. My Ricky Pearsall 2025 dream is not dead. If Mac Jones made it work like that once he got clicking last year with Brian Thomas, maybe he comes in here with Kyle Shanahan and they realize, we're going to be okay. I got Ricky Pearsall to throw the ball to.
Coupled with the report that Belichick stopped talking to Mac Jones that year.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to connect with Paul Charchian coming up next, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer. We'll get his thoughts on tonight's game and some fantasy angles as well for Week 2 in the National Football League coming up here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
More on tonight's game and Week 2 National Football League fantasy perspective from Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian with GuillotineLeagues.com, and he is on the Progressive Guest Line. Good afternoon, Charch. Thanks for the time today. How's it going?
Excited for a pretty good, what should be a really good Thursday night game, better than last week's for sure. And, I'm excited to see if the Packers are close to the team that we saw last week, so we can really get a sense of whether or not, how much of that's Detroit, how much of that is Micah Parsons, was an already really good defense, and Jordan Love looked good. Where does he do in the second game? There's so many great storylines in this one. I'm very excited for this.
So I know that you want to attack it from a Josh Jacobs angle here, but are you concerned that one or two offensive linemen might miss for the Packers?
Yeah, well, I am, because that does carry some weight here. And last year, offensive line was a wreck, and that really made for a lot of inconsistency. You had players playing the wrong positions. We always want Elton Jenkins playing center whenever we can. He's utility everything guy. Hopefully he doesn't have to move, but if he can, he has to. But we know the consistency gets there when that offensive line is together. So we're gonna be watching this one closely as it gets up closer to kickoff.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right approach there. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt looked great last week. Had that big run, went more than 80 yards. It was a promising start for him. The 7th rounder for Washington after they traded Brian Robinson to the 49ers in the offseason. What do you think he does tonight?
I'm actually somewhat optimistic here.
Okay.
Went through all of his carries. They're only 10, so I don't want to make it sound like I was, that it was a big labor to break this down. 10 carries, 82 yards. Here's the thing that he does that's really special for Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. He gets the ball, and when he's got to make a very quick decision about the way this play is setting up and the way his blocking is going, his vision and footwork behind the line of scrimmage is remarkable. And then he's got some jets. So the play, he gets the ball. He needs to make a quick change. The footwork is there for him. And then the acceleration. He had a 40-yard gain, and he's breaking down the right side. It's not quite in the sideline. He's off the sideline. He's got one safety left, Tyler Nubin, that he needs to beat. And he juked Tyler Nubin so hard, the MetLife Stadium crew is still jackhammering his jockstrap out of the field turf there. Oh, it was a great, great play by Bill. I'm optimistic that he's going to do well here. And frankly, Washington's a little easier to run on than they are to pass on.
What do you want to do with these Packer wide receivers?
I want to avoid them all.
Yeah.
This is setting up just like last year.
Okay.
Now we know, we all thought that Matthew Golden was going to be a much bigger factor right away, right? No Christian Watson. You got Jaden Reed playing with a Jones fracture in his foot. He looked mostly unaffected, but we've seen Jones fractures. Guys have lost seasons on that. I don't know how he played through that. His pregame morphine drip must look like Niagara Falls. He only ran 12 routes. And so I think they're limiting him. Romeo Doubs barely ran half of the routes, half of the passing plays. He ran routes in just half, and he was the high water mark. And Matthew Golden was only on the field for 23 snaps. And this thing feels like it's setting up just like last year. And it's super frustrating to try to figure out which guy is going to be on the field and part of the game plan from week to week. Really tough. And Washington was a shockingly good pass defense last year. Over their last 16 games, going back to last year, they've only given up 8 wide receiver scores. That's it. They just locked down Malik Neighbors, who's better than anybody on the Packers just last week. Malik Neighbors turned 12 targets into 5 scoreless catches last week. So I'm down on all the wide receivers.
Okay, let's hit player props for this weekend coming up, and maybe some fantasy angles here as well. I was thinking about approaching Hunter Henry as a tight end among my plays this week, but you think Kayshon Boutte and his receiving yards prop is a little bit low?
Yep, we're watching his shoulder injury. It's not a little low, Mitch. It's broken. This is a broken line. He is 34.5 yards is Kayshon Boutte's over-under, and he is the Patriots' number 1 receiving option. Unqualified. And you're like, oh, what about Stephon Diggs? Boutte led Patriots receivers in targets, snaps, routes run ahead of Diggs. And Boutte is such a great story. If you don't remember, and I don't blame you if you don't, he was the kid that was a 5-star recruit out of high school in Louisiana, could have gone to any program he wanted, decided to go to LSU. He's at LSU. He's beating out Malik Neighbors. I mean, he's the number 1 guy at LSU. He is a true phenom. but it goes to his head a little bit. He starts dealing with injuries. He's got attitude problems, and then the knockout punch for Kayshon Boutte. He's betting on Louisiana football and he gets busted. And he gets knocked out of college football, and he's got to go to the pros too early. So he gets drafted by the Patriots at 20 years old. Now he's only 23. He's the same age as a lot of rookies. And he, in his third year, Kayshon Boutte's good. His last three of his last 4 games, going back to last year, 95 yards, 117 yards, and last week, 103 yards. And this guy's over-under 34.5 yards as the go-to receiver and against the Dolphins.
Yes.
This is a Dolphins team with a stench of death on them. Mitch and Pauly, do you remember my visit in studio in July when we talked about how Miami's got a pathway to be the first overall pick in next year's draft and the worst team? And we talked about McDaniels as the first fired coach.
Yep.
All of that stuff coming into focus here. Yep. And the loss of Jalen Ramsey in the secondary is huge. They're going to have to play Rasul Douglas at starting cornerback for Miami. He was a street free agent 2 weeks ago.
That's awesome.
Way over.
Yeah, he was great against the Raiders. Good breakdown. What do I do with 49er players now?
Well, okay. I mean, mostly we're going to avoid, Mac Jones isn't a death sentence. I mean, it's okay. He's, I don't blame you if you didn't break down 7 games of his tape with Jacksonville. But let me just tell you, he averaged 0.8 touchdown passes per game. But he also put Brian Thomas on a solid NFL start to his NFL career. So not disaster stuff. You're going to start Christian McCaffrey anyway. The guy that you care about is Ricky Pearsall. So let's just talk about him because he's the only real swing guy for the 49ers right now. Put up 108 yards last week. But here's the thing you need to know. And without George Kittle and Juwan Jennings banged up, he's going to get a lot of attention. The average pass attempt to Ricky Pearsall last week, 21 yards. 21.
Wow.
If he's going to do that on like 8, 9, 10 pass attempts, we're looking at potentially a still really good game from Pearsall. And he's the guy that I would be sure to start.
Do you know, like, top of your head, like, what's average for that? You said 21 yards for Pearsall. Like, what's a good number?
9. 9 yards is a typical wide receiver average distance of throw. And Pearsall was at 21 last week.
Wow. Okay. That's very good. Okay. So I think most of us as football fans were hoping and kind of rooting that Nick Chubb was going to be 100% healthy the entire year and take off and be like in the mix to win the comeback player of the year. What do you specifically make of his matchup coming up on Monday night against Tampa Bay?
His over-under is 49.5. We're going to go under, even though Chubb looked good last week, and it was great to see him. He actually led all starting running backs with a 39% avoided tackle rate last week. He finished 6th in yards over expectation. There's clearly a mandate for Houston to keep using Nick Chubb, and you can drop all the rest of the Texans runners right now. But everything else I'm going to tell you is all bad about this matchup. First, the Houston offensive line was already bad, and it lost starting center Jake Andrews, who got carted off with a high ankle sprain. They're using Ed Ingram at right guard, who is he is horrible, and he's hurt too. They actually have to go to somebody worse than him potentially. Houston last week ranked 26th in ESPN's run block win rate, and honestly, that's generous. And here comes Tampa, a great run defense last year that finished 4th best in rushing yards allowed, 4th best in rushing touchdowns allowed. And this year, in week 1, they finished 3rd best in ESPN's run stuff win rate. They just held Bijan Robinson to 2 yards per carry last week. And here's the amazing thing on this, why we're going under on Nick Chubb. Going back to last year, 5 straight Buck games, no running back has topped 26 rushing yards. That's it. This is a great run defense, and I can't advocate for Chubb, even though I was delighted to see him look good in that first game.
Wow. I never would have guessed that. Only 26 yards. One more under. JSN went off in his first game with Sam Darnold against the 49ers.
Great call, Charch.
Yep.
Great call, buddy.
So what about the guy that's going to be playing like on the field with him at times, Cooper Kupp, this week?
Cooper Kupp, over-under is 30.5. We're going under against Pittsburgh. Just 2 catches for 15 yards last week, so maybe this feels obvious. But what I'm really I worry that Kupp wants to play out of the slot where he's always been effective with the Rams. That's also where Jackson Smith and Jigba likes to run, prefers to run from the slot. So we still see it. We saw Kupp get enough work, but we saw some signs that I did not like. They kicked Kupp outside for half his routes. We know in LA he was not effective as an outside receiver. He dropped a pass. Last year, he only dropped 2 all year, and he already dropped a pass in week 1. And when you've got worries about somebody's age, These are little things that just make you go, I don't know about this. But here's the real killer. Tough matchup in the slot with Pittsburgh's new cornerback, Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey, not normally a slot guy. With Pittsburgh making this trade, we didn't know for sure how they'd use him. They used him in slot coverage last week, and here's what he gave up as a slot cornerback. 1 catch, 6 yards, and had 2 pass breakups for Jalen Ramsey. Brutal matchup for Cooper Kupp.
So good. You're the best. At Paul Charchian on X, guillotineleagues.com is the website. Thanks, pal. Good luck tonight.
Thanks, friends.
Drew Butler on Georgia, Tennessee, and the line move coming up next.